Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday out there. Hopefully, we're having a wonderful hump day as we get through this week. But I'll tell you, we got pretty active next couple of days ahead as kind of this ring of fire pattern of sorts sets up. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Ring of fire is just kind of the name that this general pattern is adopted with a lot of meteorologists, and you'll hear that a lot in the broadcast side of things. So I'm sure if you're watching your local news here in the Carolinas or the Mid Atlantic or even up kind of through the Ohio River Valley, you might hear that term thrown around there. So we're going to talk about what that means and what you can expect with it over the next couple of days. But also, we do have some summertime heat working its way back into the southeast, and you folks down into Texas, Louisiana, and surrounding states have been dealing with this already for a while, but it is slowly kind of expanding and working into places that so far have really been spared from a lot of that heat and humidity. I know where I live here in upstate South Carolina, our local National Weather Service office in Greer actually hasn't hit 90 degrees yet this year, which is very impressive. I think they said this is the third latest that it's ever been. So, we've been keeping records for more than 100 years now, and so far this is number 3. Now, this will likely end within the next couple of days, but still just really impressive how nice this summer's been so far. And it's going to make it feel that much worse whenever it changes here going through the next week or so. Also, do want to quickly apologize about a couple of things. One, that this video is coming out so late tonight. I just kind of got caught up throughout the day, so it took me a little bit to get this out. Also, the vlogging video that I planned on uploading this morning could not happen because I got home last night after working, got home about 10 o'clock, and I went to go start editing it up, and I realized my GoPro did not record any audio the entire time. So whenever it did record audio too, it was in and out, and it was kind of unsavable footage, unfortunately. So the one good side of that is I at least still have the actual video, so I was able to capture that funnel cloud time lapse that you saw I uploaded this morning, and I put some music behind that to make up for the lack of audio, but unfortunately I couldn't really do that with the rest of the footage. I just wanted to turn it out right. Now, the one kind of good news or other piece of information with that is I think I'll get another chance at it on Friday doing some storm chasing here in the upstate, and hopefully I can figure out my audio equipment issues between now and then, and hopefully we get a little bit more of an actual vlogging video before the storms roll on through Friday. So that is the plan there. With that said, I think we've done enough rambling on. Let's go ahead and start talking about the weather. So something I want you to notice here that is very important to our pattern right now is a couple of things, but notice specifically how kind of dry and clear the skies are here in this southern part of the country, from really Texas all the way over to sections of the Florida Panhandle. Now, the reason for this is a big time high pressure that's kind of sitting over this area, and that is helping to do a couple of things. One is bringing in that very dangerous excessive heat that we're seeing down there into the southern plains and the deep south, but also what it is doing, it is allowing this flow here kind of around the high pressure, and this is what is going to bring that ring of fire pattern. You kind of notice how this forms a ring a little bit here, and what this is going to do is bring rounds of storms and storm complexes that have the chance to get quite strong, kind of wrapping around this high pressure, anywhere from the Great Plains through the Midwest, through the Ohio River Valley, and down into the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. So that is the pattern, and again, it is leading to a lot of things from this big time heat to dangerous storms. So a lot going on here with this pattern. So take a look at radar in our alerts this evening. Again, one thing you'll notice is just all of these excessive heat warnings, heat advisories. Now again, it stretches all the way from the Rio Grande River all the way up through Memphis, St. Louis, Southern Illinois, Western Kentucky there, Nashville, Birmingham. So again, a lot of people now getting in on this big time heat. The other big thing are all these air quality alerts kind of on the other side of those excessive heat warnings, and this is because of that Canadian wildfire smoke that is once again returning back, and all of this is because of those storms that were fired off by low pressure earlier this week, helping to wrap around that wind from the north from Canada, and of course bringing that smoke on with it. So going into tomorrow, you'll see how this ring of fire pattern begins to set up on the severe weather side of things. So again, this is that dome of high pressure here, and with it, we're going to get storms to wrap around, and that is why we have this slight risk anywhere from kind of almost Denver, Colorado, all the way down towards Atlanta, Georgia. You'll see again how this marginal and slight risk just wraps around this dome of high pressure, and with that bringing those rounds of dangerous storms. Now, The one kind of good news about this pattern is we're less likely to see, maybe tornadoes out of this, but what we are very likely to see is very damaging winds as you kind of get these complexes of storms to bow echo out as they move through here. And with that bringing, again, very strong straight line winds. So we'll be watching that in this area tomorrow. Now, as we get into Friday, we'll see the same thing, this time displaced a little bit further off to the east and even southeast from really, again, central Illinois in the morning hours all the way down to the western Carolinas in the evening hours. So anywhere from I-85 from Greenville, Spartanburg up towards Charlotte, back up towards Greensboro, and then all the way back towards Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Louisville, and some of these other major cities in there, including states like West Virginia and much of Kentucky. We'll get in on that action come Friday afternoon. So we'll definitely be watching that as those storms roll on through for our Friday. So now kind of taking a look at Futurecast as a whole here, we'll start this out going into tomorrow morning. And again, you'll notice this kind of train of storms begin. So starting really kind of late tonight and into very early tomorrow morning, you'll notice these kind of complexes of storms here and watch how they begin to roll on through that slight risk that we were looking at tomorrow. So this is early tomorrow morning, those dangerous storms kind of knocking on the doorsteps for folks near Indianapolis, even kind of down towards the Ohio River through much of Kentucky. And going into tomorrow afternoon, these continue to wrap on through and around, maybe getting into Nashville tomorrow afternoon and potentially as far south as, maybe northern Alabama and northern Georgia going into the kind of afternoon and evening hours of tomorrow. Now, another thing I do want to add to this is, unfortunately, these patterns are really just difficult to forecast, and our models a lot of the time struggle with getting the exact timing, location, and strength of these lines of storms. So that will be one big caveat, and that's one of the reasons the Storm Prediction Center has such a big area tomorrow, is just because, again, the models sometimes aren't the greatest with the direction that these things are moving, the exact timing and strength and all of that. So just a matter of kind of having to nowcast these things as they happen. So definitely make sure you have an eye on radar tomorrow afternoon, and the same goes for Friday afternoon. You'll notice we get another round of these, again, this time a little bit further to the east. So come Friday afternoon, places like Kentucky, West Virginia, Eastern Tennessee, Ohio, Western Carolinas, Western Virginia. And going into Friday night as well, you'll notice this model shows very impressive complexes of storms once again, kind of all around this high pressure. So this one image specifically here at the end, I think, is a great way to show this pattern. And again, this is for late Friday night, but this will change, I'm sure, in timing and exact location. But just in general, notice these multiple rounds of these storms wrapping around this just overall high pressure here that will be set up. So again, very kind of cool but dangerous pattern that we're going to be dealing with over the next couple of days. So the one question you might have is, why exactly are we seeing this and when is it going to leave? So again, we talked about this already, why we're seeing it, but we have high pressure over the southern plains here helping to bring that heat, and with it, this precipitation or these low pressure or these blue colors on your map just kind of wrapping around that, and with it, bringing those storms. So the one question you might have is, when is it going to end? Well, it's going to hang around, at least the high pressure is, going through at least Friday, probably maybe even into the weekend a little bit. And you'll notice we still get these kind of blue colors to try to wrap around this high pressure going into the weekend and into our 4th of July as well. We'll have to be watching out for that. But I think going into next week, although again this is a week out, I think we'll get a bit of a change up in the pattern, as you'll notice that high pressure to the south kind of weakens a bit, and we get more of just kind of a general trough of low pressure to take over. So what does this mean in terms of impacts for you? So again, we're going to be dealing with these rounds of storms over the next couple of days, but going into this weekend, we'll start on Saturday here. Again, still more of the same there with those rounds of storms moving on through. And I think even going into Sunday, we could get more of the same. But as we go into next week, again, I think we'll get a bit of a change up in the pattern, and instead of just kind of rounds of storms moving through that, it might just be more of an afternoon pop-up thunderstorm kind of pattern going into next week. So we'll definitely watch out for that. Now, another unfortunate thing about this big high pressure is the dew points and mugginess are really going to crank up as this high pressure continues to just funnel in this Gulf air around it. So as we continue to kind of show this into later this weekend and into next week, you'll notice these dew points really hang around for a while. And with them, those purple colors hang around, and that really just tells us that that is extremely muggy and uncomfortable air that we're going to be dealing with here for a big section of the country. And even if you're not in those purples, those darker blues that are going to extend all the way up through the Great Lakes also indicate pretty uncomfortable weather for you folks. So again, this is going to continue into next week and likely even longer than that. So the 4th of July holiday and kind of the week around it looks extremely muggy, extremely summer-like. And of course, that could affect some travel plans. It could affect, maybe if you're vacationing out on the beach, definitely want to stay extra hydrated and maybe wear a little bit extra sunscreen as well. And the temperatures as well are going to crank up with this. So 6 to 10 days out, higher than average likelihood of some warmer than average temperatures through much of the east. And in terms of precipitation, kind of the same story. Again, I think as we get kind of past this, current setup we're in, it'll be more of just an afternoon thunderstorm threat and not so much these organized complexes of storms going into the medium and long range, but nonetheless still having those afternoon thunderstorm chances. So again, I do apologize that this video came out a little bit late tonight, but unfortunately, I was just kind of busy throughout the day. And of course, as usual, if you have any questions that maybe I didn't answer in the video, feel free to ask me in the comments, and I'll definitely try my best to get around to that. I also do want to mention we did gain a pretty healthy amount of subscribers over the past 24 hours ever since that article came out. So for anyone new, definitely welcome aboard. I appreciate you joining us, and let me know where you're watching from, how you found the channel, and what you would like to see on the channel going forward. But with that said, hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you all tomorrow.